everybody. You know, it's one-ish. We had to do the remix. So nice. We play it twice. It is Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and Dream Do Done is here with a tribute to the great man, the visionary, the leader, the advocate, the pastor, the father, just all that he represents. And oh Lord, how his words still ring true today. So it's one-ish, and we are here. Their Dream Do Done accountability partners, Tamara Hartley, the how-to coach. Serena Brown Travis is with us in spirit today and sending her love. And that is the pulpit chick. And my name is Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant, the Chief Faithpreneur. So thank you so much for joining the broadcast. We pray that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you're still acknowledging a day on, not a day off, right? The day of service that it is. I'm a little tired because we had our service project today, being really creative. And with COVID and everything going on, a lot of the programming today has been virtual. So people have been tuning in to pre-recorded sessions and participating in live coat drives where people can drop off and do what we did this morning for Jack and Jill of America Queens chapter. We created a opportunity for all of the families to contribute food to the food bank. There's over 300 plus on any given morning looking for food. We're in some serious times. So we were able to collect that, as well as some of the sanitary products that women need. And you wouldn't realize that that's something that's a big issue in shelters and transition homes because they can't go out. They don't have enough money to just get some of the things some of us may take for granted. So I'm grateful for the fact that our families were able to gather with masks on outdoors, collect and distribute, and realize that while everybody would like to sleep in on a holiday, this is a day where work still needs to be done. Dr. King went through so much, and everyone who marched with him and advocated for the rights that we're fighting hard to protect today. You know, it's a reminder. So I just hope that you made your choice and decision and how you honor the dream and how you honor the man. But welcome to the show, my co-host, Tamara Hartley. How are you?
I am doing well. I was just sitting there listening to you. And yes, we did feel it a little bit this morning. One of the things our mother always did when we were growing up is we would do the MLK march and then the breakfast as well. So my sister made a little joke last night. She says, too bad mom's not here to make us march. Because, that's where we would be. And I said, absolutely. But we did our virtual breakfast this morning. And it's funny, we did touch base with our sister Serena this morning, and her mother, who has gone to the MLK breakfast for years, kind of missed it this year. So Serena actually took her mother to breakfast this morning. So they sent us a picture of everyone at breakfast. But yes, it was a little bit different. But nevertheless, we are still celebrating this day and doing our service.
Absolutely. And hello, Greta. Thank you for joining, and those who catch the replay because you are doing your MLK activities. As we think about what's happening in the country, particularly this week, we know the aftermath of what has happened a little over a week ago. And you listen to the words of Dr. King, you listen to what he was fighting for the equity and the access that they risked their lives for Congressman John Lewis, who transitioned and received his wings, in near losing his life. It's really heart-wrenching when we think about where we still sit, the stain that is on this country. And I just want to play the words from the man himself. We could try to paraphrase what it is that he shared with us, but no one can say it like Dr. King himself. And this was one of the speeches that are played majority of times, but I think the words is something that we really need to sit and listen to and just make a decision. How are we going to really continue the dream? How are we really going to be the product of the sacrifice and not the lip service? I think right now, America's in a situation where the Band-Aids and the patches that we've put on certain realities can no longer hold. The whole wound has to heal. And the exposure, anytime you look at a wound and it has to heal, it's a deep gaping cut, it has to be exposed for some air to help clean it, to help restore it back to a healing process. And we're in a space right now in this country where the healing process is real. It can no longer just be rhetoric. It can no longer be we wait for MLK Day and we say all the right things about the stain that has plagued this country since its onset. So let me just play the words from the man himself.
To America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Whew. It still chills go through me.
Absolutely.
Right? Hearing his voice, hearing the passion that he is speaking about what this country was facing. And look what he was talking about, what he read, the right to assembly, the right to speech, the right to press, the right to be able to protest injustice. And that was how many years ago?
Yes.
How many years ago? We are still fighting to be seen, still fighting to be heard. And he talked about the promised land. And a lot of people thought that when we stood and cried, hugged, watched President Obama come into office, like no one can ever forget what this country looked like. I was so hopeful that night, seeing every color, every nationality, everybody together, like we're moving in a direction of the dream that MLK had, not knowing that it was unearthing the anger and bitter, racist undercurrent that it would never happen. Like they started plotting day one of his inauguration of what would not happen again. That it just disturbs every piece of my peace. But I thank God for faith and hope that he knew what he was experiencing. I almost feel had a premonition.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And that's what I even heard in what he was saying just today. Listen to what he was saying. It was almost like, I may not see it with you. I'm not worried about anything else. I'm not fearing anything. It's almost like he felt in here where things were.
Absolutely. And, when you do your work and you do your good work, he put it all out. He wasn't the only one in the movement, but he was the one who was the face of the movement. Malcolm had his part in being the face of the movement. And there were so many other people. I looked at the audience Can you think about the people who are in that audience, the children of those individuals, the babies that grew up watching and seeing what happened in our country, and to see where we are fast forward in 2021? It's a lot to swallow. It's a lot to digest. But the good news is that we're holding on to hope. Without hope, why bother, right? Why bother?
Yeah.
I heard Representative Cori Bush, I believe that's her last name. She was on The View, and I caught a little bit of it after coming in from my service project. And I think it was, forgot which one of the hosts asked her, how do you have hope? How are you still able to have hope? She said, if you don't have hope, if you don't have hope, you can't survive. You have to start thinking it begins with you, how you show up, what you do, what you participate in, how you add value to the narrative and the conversations that are happening, so that love can trump hate, so that truth can defy lies, so that we can work towards a more perfect union and acknowledge the stain that is on our country, heal the wounds, and really move forward, and not just give rhetoric to that.
Absolutely. And I just thought about what you said. You know, a lot of times we do look to leaders. We look to the Martin Luther King Jr.'s of today, people who are standing in the gap, but we don't realize that there's things we can do as individuals, things we should be doing to help out and to really be a part of what that movement is, and not sitting back watching and saying, hey, what are they doing? Where are our leaders? What's going on? You know, I heard on the radio this morning, I was taking dropping my son off, and on the radio, they were talking about who is the Martin Luther King Jr. of today. And the thought that I had in my mind is not really a comparison. It's just saying who is taking the charge, who's taking the lead. But then it said, but what are we doing? And so that just struck me when you said that, because as individuals, we have to do our part. It's not just looking for someone else to take on the burden of that, or to take on it. Yes, Dr. King made a great sacrifice, but so did many others. And there are still others today that are still sacrificing. And we all need to figure out, how are we sacrificing? What are we doing?
Absolutely. And her name is, I'm looking right at her face, but I can't say her name. One of the hosts is not coming to me. She just had a baby, and was very close to the McCain family. Anyway, she mentioned that she appreciated her hard conversations with Sonny, one of the other co-hosts, on race. She said she was able to learn some things that she really didn't have a context for. And it was a great example of a white woman and a Black woman being able to talk about some of the hard, hurtful pieces of this country's history, past and present. And her saying that, I think, was just very healing as well, because there are a lot of our allies who want to be helpful, who want to figure out, how do we help save this? What do we do? But feel like they're stuck. And she was able to say, through conversation, she could educate herself on what she didn't know. There's a lot of people that we think they know, but they don't know. Right? Yeah. They've never been properly educated. They've been feeding off of false narratives, and they don't understand what it feels like to walk a day in the shoe of a person of color, right? Yeah. To really understand what our experience has been because of how we've been socialized in this country. So we just wanted to honor Dr. King today by the fact that we are showing up. Dream Do Done is an example of what it means to use a platform for good, what it means to be able to step out and own your own business, what it means to collaborate so that you can get more done. And we hope that we inspire you to do the same thing. There's a lot that this world needs. One person is not going to solve it. We need a collective body of genius to work on the things that are necessary. And hey, Stephen, how are you? Hey, Greta. Hey, Jason, appreciate you. Hey, Sandra, thank you for tuning in. And I think one of the things that is important for us to also look at is art forms. Apparently, there are 2 new movies that are out that are telling a narrative, that are telling a story. I believe one is One Night in Miami, where our sister girl is directing. This is her directing debut. And I heard that it is off the chain, that she has an incredible, who did it again? Oh, Lord,
Regina King.
Regina King. I'm like, why am I going blank? I'm getting old, y'all. Jesus, help me. I need some ginkgo or I need sleep, one of the two. But yeah, Regina King's directorial debut. I have informed my family that we're going to watch it as a family tonight and discuss it, because there's some points in there that I think all families should be discussing. per what my girlfriend told me, who is a movie buff. And thank you, Robin. You see, my sister's got my back. Like, oh my God, like what's the name? But I want to see that. And then there's another one that I believe Spike Lee just did called Native Skin. I'm going to look for it because my husband and some of the other dads today were talking about it and said it was a hard one to watch, but another one that can educate. So I'm just using that as an example of how art can also educate. Businesses can educate, your platform can educate, your service can educate, so we can move in the right direction. So there is
Stacey. So I just Googled it. So I think it's Spike Lee's American Skin.
American Skin. Okay. Yes. Thank you. See, I need all the help today. Because it was not a day off for me for sure. We were up bright and early. But those are two examples of movies that you can watch with your families, watch with people who are not Black and brown so that they can get their perspective on it and be able to have sensitive and challenging conversations. Everybody's into diversity and inclusion right now. We've been diverse all our life, right? So right now, thank God for all the D&I professionals who are out here saying, hello, this is what you haven't seen. Hello, this is what being inclusive looks like. Hello, we're here at the table. We cannot be ignored. And shout out to you, Robin, for the work that you do and so many others who are in this space because it's necessary. And in watching The View, and then I see you have another point to make, Tamara. In watching The View, I heard this young man sing, who I think his name floated by me, and I don't know how I did not see his full performance in a compelling, when I say compelling iteration of music, saying, I want to live, I just want to live. Keon Bryant, and we're going to play it. It was hard for me to watch as a mother, especially as a mother of two young men, but it's another example of how our kids are interpreting the things that they're seeing. And we're celebrating MLK Day, but we're talking about Black Lives Matter. Where do I fit in? How am I going to grow up in this society? What is going to be different? How is this inauguration going to change the direction of our country? So it's so much to consider. And the only way I keep my sanity is getting grounded in my faith, that there's certain things that I can't control, but I can take control of the things that I can. Tamara, you wanted to add something.
So I was actually scrolling through Clubhouse last night, and I'm not sure how many of you are on the Clubhouse platform. Both Stacey and I are on, and Serena as well. So make sure you connect with us on that platform as well. But I actually saw some of those conversations being had on Clubhouse. So if you know, Clubhouse is all about the conversation. So you can join different rooms and participate in conversations. But it was two rooms. It was one that was talking about, and I think it was the same room. They just flipped it. So the first one, it was like white women asking Black women the hard questions. And then the other one was Black women asking white women the hard questions. But when you were talking about having those conversations and people not having the proper context or even walking in each other's shoes, that was a great platform and a great conversation to be had between people who really have a desire to understand one another, to see how we can really get beyond this and what each of us can do to get beyond this. So I just wanted to point that out because I saw that on Clubhouse last night and I was like, wow, those are great conversations to have. And it's nice to see people having them.
Absolutely, because we see the effects of controlling a negative and false narrative, right? That there are so many people who believe a lie. It just, you can't have people with common sense and knowledge just believe a lie. It's because it's been said over and over again. People start to really believe that they are standing up for an honorable cause. I mean, the lie that slavery was the way it was supposed to be, that Black people were supposed to be slaves, that we weren't supposed to learn how to read, we weren't supposed to go to school, we weren't supposed to own businesses. That was a narrative that was shared over and over again to keep us enslaved. So the power to break away from the lie, to stand for the truth, to do what's right, it's not easy, but we can't stop now. We have more work to do. Thank God we are able to celebrate a national holiday. That was a fight to get MLK Day as a national holiday. So we've been fighting for everything. Look, all's my life fight.
I've had to fight.
But we have to continue and not be weary in well doing.
Yeah.
I salute all of you that are doing amazing work in your jobs, in your businesses, in your platforms. So many new people have now gotten into the political process and have run for office, and including all of the things that I do in business. I'm very civically engaged and support my elected officials and those who are running to add change and to really advocate for those who don't have a voice. So the work doesn't end. We take a nap, get up, and we keep moving. But I want us to close the show today with just playing this song. If you've never heard this young man, I promise you, get some tissue near right now, because I was crying my eyes out when I heard the full rendition. And today he did an adapted version of the song with another, I think, rapper. I forgot the name of the rapper, the young man, but I couldn't find the replay of what they performed on The View. But what I do have is a clip of the full rendition, because when he first made the song, it was in his house and then he was singing a cappella. And then someone heard it and was like, whoa, who is this young man? And they actually produced the full song. And I want you to not only listen to his voice, listen to the lyrics, but look at the images that they created to really drive home what this young man was crying out about. And it became the center of a lot of conversation around what we've seen in 2020.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just wanna live. God protect me. I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hurt to disgrace. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. So many thoughts in my head. Will I live or will I end up dead? It's an unequal or sequel. No matter where I be, there's no place safe for me. Oh, I'm not asking for too much. So Lord, please help. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. This is my battle cry. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live.
Woo.
Look, let me tell you. So I know that was a video clearly,
Mm.
but being a mother of a son, I have a 16-year-old who's over 6 feet tall, just huge. And, I just fear so much. Just even seeing the images in the video made me cringe. And I know that was a hard video to even produce and do, to see your son even in that position reenacting something or acting out something like that. So, but when he sang it a cappella the first time I heard it, just to hear the cry out that he actually had, it was just so soul stirring. I mean, I cried just watching him do it, because it shouldn't be something that anyone has to deal with, but just a young person. This was his way of dealing with it. And it was just so much emotion in that song and his cry out, that it was just like, wow. So even today watching, I hadn't seen the video. So thanks for finding that and sharing that, Stacey. But whew.
Yeah, I'm just gathering myself. And the last image with the officer extending his hand, I mean, there were so many things in that particular video, and the one that they did with I Know I've Been Changed, that'll just wipe you out as well. That was part of what they performed today for MLK Day on The View. It just speaks a lot to what Dr. King stood for, what he was fighting for, that this young man wouldn't have to live in a world where he would have to cry out, God, I just want to live. That's what the man gave his life for, so that baby would not have that reality. So our children wouldn't be in this situation. As my sons, every time they're out of the house or away from me, it's like, whoo, I'm praying for covering, because every mother that has lost their child, every father that has lost their child to racial injustice, they didn't plan. Trayvon had, what was he getting? Skittles. Yeah. Like, she didn't plan for that to happen. Nobody planned for it to be the last time your child leaves your house.
Yeah.
And that you don't know they come back. And that's what Dr. King was fighting for the same treatment, for equity, it's just so much.
And and I think I shared it before, but I was having a conversation with my son, and he kept trying to get me to remember something. And he kept saying, remember when you didn't let me go outside? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't let you go outside. But there was a period after all the Trayvon Martin stuff happened. I didn't even realize that I was doing this, but I was not letting him even go outside and walk the neighborhood and play and do the things that he was a little younger then. And I said, and I even found myself now, he's about to get his driver's license. He's just got his temps, and I'm dragging my feet on that, because I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm not excited about the thought of you driving and being pulled over. And it's just so sad that we have to go through that. And like, this is my youngest child, so it's just like, he already has that going against him, that he's my youngest baby, but that he's a boy too. I just worry so much. And I do unconsciously kind of hold that stuff back. Like, wow, I said, wow, I wasn't letting you go outside, but I wasn't. I wasn't letting my son go outside, and I didn't realize I was just scared. And he picked up on that, and it's a frame of reference for him.
Absolutely. And I just put the video link in the chat for those who wanted to see it and share it. I mean, just sharing it and watching it again, my heart is just like, I'm thanking God my sons are upstairs right now, right? Like they're here and they're okay. My husband is okay. My father's okay, because we just don't know. And that's the reality when we have these sensitive and hard conversations with our white colleagues and counterparts. They will never understand what it feels to be in black and brown skin. They will never know what it means to have the talk with your children. They will never know what it means to be profiled because you walk in a store and you look a certain way. They will never understand that, because they have had the privilege of being the majority in the country for all these years, right? And because that majority is changing and the browning of America is bringing up some new realities, we see the anger and the hate. And I'm like, people are scaling the walls like this is Walking Dead. I'm like, Jesus, what is going on? What are we living in? But that's what happens when something festers for so long, when we don't address the societal ills and we put Band-Aids on it and we try to overlook and turn the other way. This is a result. So all the black and brown people in the country are not shocked. We're just disappointed. But this is what happens when you don't address. And I pray for the president-elect and vice president-elect. They are inheriting quite a mess, because COVID-19 has not gotten the kind of attention that it needs because of all of the political unrest. But people are dying by the minute in this country. Like California right now, speaking with my girlfriend and her sister, they can't even get in a hospital if anything else happens to them.
Yeah.
If they get hit by a car, God forbid, something,
Yeah.
they break a limb. That is how serious it is. And I just really, as we close out the show and we're honoring Dr. King, he talked about what it means for us to stand by silently and do nothing when we see injustice. We cannot be silent. We cannot turn and look the other way. We have to use our voices for good. We have to use our products, our programs, our services, our positions in our companies, the things that you can control to have the tough conversations, to do the hard work so that we can truly heal this country and restore it to what it can be. I don't know if we can go back because it's always been some issues. Let's not get into all of the, historical experts, but we know the problems. It didn't just come in 2020. Absolutely. And I'm just praying in 2021 and moving forward, we do the real work that'll be required to get us on a standing where that baby doesn't have to cry out that he just wants to live, that he can walk the streets like anybody else and feel protected, feel valued, and be seen. So with that being said, we thank you for tuning in to Dream Do Done. This is your accountability broadcast. Normally we're talking about business and life issues, but in the spirit of MLK, we went a different direction today to just really inspire the kind of hope that we pray keeps you moving forward, and that together we do the work. We do the work, we show up, we keep going, we don't give up, and we inspire others to do the positive things that will make not only our countries, our neighborhoods better, and that we truly use the gifts and talents that God gives us in a way that, for me, gives him the glory. For Tamara, for Serena, that's what we believe. We don't know what you believe, but we know that God didn't make a mistake with the gifts that he gave us, and we need to use it properly so that we can heal the land. So thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to let my co-host tell you how you can connect with us. Hey, Greta. Hey, Elaine. I didn't see you there. Thank you, Greta. Appreciate you, sis. Thank you, Ladrine. Hey, darling. How you doing? That's right. Still hopeful. That's something. Is that your little grandbaby? He's like, I want to get the camera.
He's here today. He just had to, he always come downstairs to see his lovely.
I love it. He did the slow stroll, like, y'all see me? Y'all see me? Y'all see me? I love it. That was the high note we needed to end the show, to see his adorable little face. But go on and tell him how to connect with us, sis. And we'll be back by the grace of God. Same time, same place next week, 1-ish.
Yes, absolutely. So just before I give you our web address and share that info, I just want to also inspire you. This is Dream Do Done. And another thing about Martin Luther King that inspires us all is that he had a dream. And I just want to encourage you. Stacey talked about being able to use your business, your products, your platform. If you haven't started, I'm encouraging you today to get started. This show is all about you living your dream. We talked about Dr. King's dream. What is your dream? Be inspired by his life and by his words. One of his quotes that I truly love is, faith is taking the first step, even when you can't see the whole staircase. I just want to encourage you, have hope, have faith, and to live your dream. So, you can always stay connected with us on dreamdodone.com to stay up to date with our latest products, our mastermind sessions that we have going on. dreamdodone.com. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We love you, and enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week.